the channel, we've talked about the Apothecary Diaries and the exceptional job it's done in the art of writing and storytelling. Heck, we even dove into how good the relatively most boring episode is. Point being, this anime simply doesn't miss. But eventually, all giants must stumble, and you know what? Even that may just make for a good opportunity to stand tall and proud afterwards. So what exactly am I getting to? Well, in episode 23 of the second season, we got to witness what I think is genuinely the very first stumble in this amazing series. From a general lack of shot diversity to a confusing and misdirected scene that was meant to be as pivotal as it was powerful, there's much to get into in today's video.
そのため母親こそが実質的な最高権力者で、陰で女帝と呼ばれていました。
The frame is just as important as the picture. Over the course of many episodes, the Apothecary Diaries has displayed not only excellence in writing, but also an undeniable beauty through animation and direction. And so, part of why episode 23 was lackluster for both myself and some others is this exact expectation the anime had already set. A large section of the episode came in the form of Lolan bringing Jinshi over to her mother for what is essentially a huge fat info dump. But let's get to the narrative nature of the scene later. First, let's focus on the superficial bits. The fact is, they are just standing around. Like, literally, they aren't moving. Besides the actual scenes of flashback, you get a basic framing of Lolan moving her mouth alongside quick cuts to Shenmei wearing an angry face. But for me, the biggest culprit has to be the Moon Prince himself, Jinshi. Especially noticeable with a second viewing. During the entire run of the scene, Jinshi is kinda just there. As Lolan is lore dropping, Jinshi is standing still like a lifeless cardboard cutout, turning his head whenever he's asked a question and maintaining a generally emotionless face. I promise you, if you aren't convinced, watch the episode back and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's one of those things that once you do see it, it'll be pretty hard to unsee. All this to say, it's lifeless. And compared to the many peak moments this series has had to offer, it's simply a letdown. Now here's the real kicker. This isn't the first time a similarly produced scene was shown in the series. Going back earlier in season 2, we have the scene where Gao Shun is talking to both Maomao and Hong Yang about the trouble with the twins who escaped the room. It's a similar situation where one is giving quite a hefty info dump while everyone else is just listening in and giving their reaction from time to time. So why did this scene feel natural when the scene with Lolan and Shenmei didn't? Well, for one, it's significantly shorter, and for another, I think there's a genuine misstep in direction and resource management that makes it all the more annoying for the audience that actually care. We'll get into more of that later, but basically this is the second to last episode of the season we're talking about. It could have used a bit more attention all around. Meanwhile, that conversation between Maomao and Gao Shun all those episodes ago was way earlier in the season. Things were just getting started, so it makes sense that we as an audience are listening to Gao Shun talk about some palace affairs. That being said, I think the real issue lies in the writing itself. You see, in the entire segment, Lolan is giving a crash course on the history of her parents, Shenmei and Shishu. But there's a slight problem. Shishu just died a scene before, and Shenmei is over here making generic anger noises. Oh, and she dies too, just moments later. There's no real reason for any of this information to matter to us as an audience because the cards had already been dealt. What's more, I couldn't care less about Shenmei. She's a bitter, evil woman even till her last breath. Before she inevitably dies, there's no quaint redemption for her character and no realization that she's hurt the ones that love her. In fact, she even tries to kill her own daughter, which is the reason she dies in the first place.
何がおかしい!
だってお母様、まるで小物なんですもの。
As a fan, this segment overall felt quite lackluster and stretched too far over the course of the episode. Honestly, I appreciate it more when Apothecary Diaries does less to spell everything out. Let us, as the audience, contemplate instead of just watching. Going back to Maomao and Gao Shun's conversation earlier, this was a puzzling discussion about a case involving the blonde twins. It was mysterious, It was intriguing, but everything Lolan is sharing is just info to build up characters whose time is already done in the world. Now, alright, you could say all the storytelling is useful for Jinshi, but even that is hard to digest considering he is, as we mentioned, standing around like a statue. Nothing is really done to sell us on the gravity and importance of what Lolan is revealing. Well, actually, there is one moment right before Lolan does what she does. She gives Jinshi a piece of paper which is apparently a Nostradamus prediction of all the things that'll go wrong in the kingdom. Great! Now if only we got a peek of that instead of a history lesson on people we couldn't care less about. Before we move on to things you do care about, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more awesome content like this one. And make sure to join the comments too to share what you thought of episode 23. When inspiration becomes cheap imitation. You wouldn't be a real Apothecary Diaries fan if you didn't hold the finale of Season 1 close to your heart. In particular, the breathtaking scene of maomao performing a dance in honor of her mother being bought out. It's a mesmerizing scene that highlights the very complex emotions of maomao. She's not exactly happy, she's not exactly sad. She danced for a woman who birthed her and all the same abandoned her. At a point when no words could have expressed how she felt and no expression could have given her history justice, she danced, just as she had trained as part of the Verdigris house. In contrast, we go to episode 23 of the second season and we see Lolan making her final stand, or should I say, dance. Familiar, isn't it? Well, quite frankly, it's a pretty on-the-nose reference to maomao's dance in season 1. It's a great idea too, don't get me wrong, but after looking deeper into things, you'll quickly find that the scene itself has very little meaning besides being beautiful. After taking a look at the light novel the anime is based on, I was able to pinpoint the most important detail that the anime actually left out. What is it, you may ask? It's the moment Lolan points to the sky. Wait, doesn't she do that already? Well, yeah, but in the light novel, the important detail is that she points at the sky while still wearing the finger ornament she used to slash Jinshi. This extravagant pose is exactly what tips off Basen and the other guards to what supposedly happened before they came in. Lolan slashed Jinshi and is now dancing hysterically outside. But with the bloodied ornament removed in the anime, this scene is essentially a glorified dance number. In fact, it would be a dishonor to myself not to mention that this whole experience is eerily similar to when I saw that one scene in Overlord Season 4, and we all know how that one came across. As we talked about before in a previous video, Lolan as a character is essentially a cautionary tale of what could be in store for both maomao and Jinshi, children of powerful figures in the political scene destined for great responsibility that they themselves have no desire for. Having said that, she still has her own circumstances, and having the finale of her character arc be a mirror of maomao's own pivotal scene is kinda taking away from that. But this is where the anime alone is not to blame. The dance itself is irrefutably part of the light novel's description of this moment, so you can't really blame the anime for making the most of what they're given. That being said, I do find an issue with them making the most of it. It is the fact that the dance felt significantly shorter and less highlighted in the source material. In fact, you can say that the anime kind of flipped the focus of the budget away from the battle with the She Clan in earlier episodes in favor of this dance number in terms of animation. Just look at how they tackled the actual attack of Jinshi's army. This right here is literally a still image. The beginning after the end would be proud. As we already mentioned, the first half of the episode was littered with minimal animation and creativity, so the fact that this dance was given so much only adds to the possible distaste. There are reasons for maomao to dance the way she did back in season 1. Meanwhile, the only purpose Lolan's dancing has is to sell her villainy to the other witnesses. Sure, you can say that this is her indulging in the childishness that she's long repressed, but even that doesn't work since the dance is choreographed so gracefully, and you know, this isn't exactly her last hurrah. And also, how does she even know this dance? Is this perhaps the same dance ladies of the Inner Palace sometimes do? Like that one girl back in season 1. Beats me, they didn't establish that whatsoever. In maomao's case, Mei specifically mentioned that she should dance for her when she inevitably gets bought out, so the connection is already there.
いいマオマオ私が身請けされるときはちゃんと踊るのよ
Now to add on to all of that, this is the season finale, for crying out loud. The second to last episode of this entire season that's been amazing so far. There was even a week's break in between the previous episode and this one. Intrigue is at an all-time high and I can only assume so is the viewer count. All the purpose behind the scene is gone. There's zero logic, and you even drain away budget from other more important scenes just to beautify this one. What exactly can you expect from viewers after all that?
それでも私が連れてこられたのはこのためだ。
一度死んだもの。
では一度死んだ者は見逃してくださるのですね。
The best do recover. Of course, we can't possibly end this video on a sour note. While there were issues with episode 23, it is by no means a horrible episode of anime. It simply falls short of the many great episodes the anime has cranked out, and it's really just a testament to how amazing the ride has been so far. Also, I'm proud to say the actual season 2 finale, episode 24, absolutely did not disappoint. It's the Apothecary Diaries experience in peak form. We have Jinshi doing all sorts of harassment to Maomao in HD. And genuinely tear-jerking moments that remind us about how organically tragic the world of Apothecary Diaries actually is. Yeah, sorry Lolan, Xiaolan has a far more sad exit. And that's without a whole last dance number. Also, I think the one thing I was most excited to learn about is what exactly Maomao's role is during the Shi clan attack. And it's in this episode that we find out. As I said, given the delay before episode 23, I was expecting more in terms of progressing the narrative that's been simmering all this time. So I was glad when I finally got that moment here in the final episode. With all this, I have no worries about the future of the anime moving forward. One slight misstep isn't enough to taint such a long list of fantastic storytelling. And I'm sure when season 3 eventually comes along, myself and many others will be glued to the screen all the same to watch over what our little Maomao does next.
この唾液には毒がある場合がありますよ。
お前に多少の毒は効かないだろう。
Well, if this video didn't do you any wrong, do consider leaving a super thanks below. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what you thought of today's video. How did you like the finale of Season 2? Anything you didn't see coming? Did you think Lolan's dance out was justified? We can't wait to hear it. As always, thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you again next time.